I wanted to jump in there because you said a minute ago, you know, you said about getting clean 2 weeks before, and am I proud of that? No, I'm not. And I think back, if we spoke to Alex 6 years ago, 2 weeks from giving birth, and then, you know, kind of at the end of that 2 weeks, you must have sat there and thought, wow, man, I'm proud I've done 2 weeks without using.
Don't know about pride. I think relief, gratitude, relief that we were both okay.
Yeah.
Grateful that I had a chance.
Yeah.
I was lucky to have, I've got a wonderful, loving, supportive family. They don't give me a free pass because I'm an addict. I went a long time without talking to them in my using because of my behaviour and the pain it caused. However, I was so broken at the end of my pregnancy and lost. And I mean, in the hospital, in those circumstances, you have to be kept in hospital for 7 days with your baby so that they can keep a close eye on you medically. And I cried, sobbed, wailed, basically. I'd be wailing through the night. That the other mothers on the open ward complained about me, and they ended up putting me in a private room. And it was because I was so traumatised by where I was at and what was going on. And at the same time, yes, I was like overwhelmed in love for my child and gratitude that we were both okay and that, you know, I was clean and that no harm had come to him and we had a chance. But I was also deeply traumatised, ashamed, you know, wondering how I would ever forgive myself and how I'd ever move past it all. You know, that was my experience. And I was emotionally pretty unstable at the time because I'd been through, I didn't use constantly through my pregnancy. I kept getting clean, relapsing, getting clean, relapsing over and over and over again. Insanity.
Yeah. Stop there.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so insanity.
Insanity. That's what it was.
Yeah.
And I was literally insane. I don't say that like, oh, it's an excuse.
I get it.
I was insane, really mentally ill.
Yeah.
Gone.
I definitely can't understand that position. Because, you know, I'm a man and that's not my privilege, you know, to... But yeah, I'm just trying to think, you know, with my own children, I kind of understand the mindset of, like, you know, the guilt and the shame and that, you know, I look at my children and think, I could have done more, you know, even when I was using, you know, this conscious bit of me, you know, that was just like, I've got to find a way out of this. And then, and then just not being able to for many years. Let's jump back to, I think we could spend the whole pod talking about the pregnancy.
Of course, yeah.
You know, but I'll try not to. I'm just, what's that like, you know? And I suppose, you know, maybe we'll do that, I don't know. You know, being pregnant and just, because I think there's, you know, I'm guessing actually, you know, the maternal instinct, we would like to think would just override any kind of desire to use any kind, you know, it just trumps everything. And was that your experience?
But I think it was once I got myself clean and he was here and there was like a physical, he was my first, there was a physical being for me to attach the love to.
Yeah.
But when I was carrying him, I didn't have that like skin to skin connection, that understanding of what it would be like. I did not understand.
Yeah.
And that's not an excuse because it doesn't mean that what I did was okay. But I honestly had no idea what it would feel like to be a mother and to be responsible for this little life and to hold him in my arms and know that I was all in this world that he had. I didn't know how that would feel.
Wow. That's a big statement, isn't it?
And that doesn't mean either that the women who do it over and over again, because there are women that have done it multiple times, it doesn't make them evil or bad. No. And I think it's important to say that because it's so easy to look at circumstances and judge without having any understanding or compassion, the background, the history, the trauma, what happened in their childhood. You know, there's always so many factors. Someone doesn't just get pregnant and then be like, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to use drugs. That's a really clever idea. I don't think anybody that I've ever heard in recovery share their story has ever said anything even remotely like that, because it's not like that. It's complex.
What was it like when, so take me back to the day you found out you were pregnant. Were you using then, or were you dependent?
So,
or
I was in supported accommodation.
Okay.
I had relapsed, and so I went to rehab in my early 20s.
Yeah.
I got clean. I stayed clean for 3.5 years.
Yes.
And then I stopped doing the stuff that had helped me in the early days. So I stopped doing my meetings and my step work, and I kind of took my will back, if you like, and I started doing madness. So I was flying all over the world, quit my job, lost my flat. I was behaving as though I was using, even though I wasn't. So after so many months of behaving like that, I inevitably picked up a substance again. And because it wasn't the substance of my choice, I thought, I'll be all right here. And the long and short of it, without giving my whole relapse story, is that it took me 2 years to get clean. Once I picked up, it was 2 years before I got, and it was the end of my pregnancy brings us 2 years forward.
Okay.
And those 2 years were honestly the most agonisingly painful 2 years of my entire life, because I knew there was a solution, and I knew that I could get clean because I'd done it before, but I just could not surrender. I couldn't put my hands up and be like, I can't do this anymore.
Why?
Because I still wanted to use.
There you go.
Something inside of me still, it's not that I wanted to use to hurt myself or other people. Some part of me still believed I could control it in some way. And I think, yes, getting pregnant saved my life. It did, because I began to experience levels of guilt and shame in that pregnancy that I didn't know were actually humanly possible, that I thought I would never come back from, because I would lie in the bathroom in the fetal position, and I don't mean cry, I would wail, you know what I mean? I would be screaming to God, like, why?
On your own?
Yeah, on my complete own, because everyone was gone, it was just me. And in the end, I got to a place of being suicidal, and I even wrote sorry.
It's all right.
I didn't think I was going to get emotional. So I wrote like a note to myself, not to anybody else, to myself.
Yeah.
And it said like, how could you do this? You have like an innocent life inside of you. And look at you looking around for ways that you can hurt yourself even more, because at that time I really was thinking of ending it. And I think if I wouldn't have been pregnant, I definitely would have. But I had a life inside of me. And how could I, there's selfish, and then there's like,
so that's what stopped
past
you.
Selfish, isn't it? So, and I remember the moment I'd wrote this note. It was in an old iPhone that I'd wrote the note. I've still got it. And I wrote this big paragraph, and I was like on my knees in the bathroom, and I was wailing, and I called somebody from recovery, and I said like, you need to help me, because I either sort myself out or I die. And she was at my house within 10 minutes. She come and got me. She took me to her. She ran me a bath. She gave me a warm coat to go to a meeting in, and I remember she made me a ham sandwich. I love a ham sandwich. That was an important ham sandwich for me.
And I get it. I absolutely get it. And it seems really insignificant, but those are the things. And I was just thinking, things. So I should imagine, and correct me if I'm wrong. Every time you look at your little boy, it's like, oh, you saved my life.
Yeah, I see an angel,
yeah.
An earth angel for real. He's even got like bright blonde curly hair like a cherub. Yeah. I'm going to get emotional now because it's him, it's my world. But I don't believe at this point in life that it's a coincidence that I had a son on Valentine's Day.
Wow.
A broken woman that had suffered and struggled my whole life around men, and abandonment and rejection. And to be given that gift saved me over and over and over, you know, in a million different ways on a million different days. And I, of course, cherish him, and I've done everything since his first breath to make sure that I'm the best version of myself. Yeah. And sometimes that's messy, and I'm not perfect. I'm far from it. You know, I've made my serious fair share of mistakes over the past 6 years, but I don't give up, and I won't.